Hi friends, today we are starting Unit 8, Films. A closer look to. Here we go. Grammar. We have some conjunctions for today, although, despite, in spite of. Example. Although he is so young, he performs excellently. Although he is so young, he performs excellently. Okay? And next one, despite or in spite of being so young, he performs excellently. So their meanings are same. Both are same. Okay? And despite or in spite of his young age, he performs excellently. Yeah. Both of them or three of them and their meanings are same. So he is so young, but he performs excellently. These three sentences have same meaning and their meanings are he is so young, but he performs excellently. So he is so young. It's a clause. It's a clause. And he performs excellently. It's also a clause. So there are two clauses here. So after although, we use a clause. Clause mean there is subject and verb. As you see, there is a subject and to be verb. Also, there is a subject and a verb, as you see. But despite or in spite of, after them we use a phrase. Phrase, it's not a clause. It hasn't got a subject or a verb. So it can be gerund, okay? For example, this one, it can be gerund or noun phrase, okay, as you see. So also his young age is kind of phrase. So after, despite and in spite of we use a phrase. After, although we use a clause. Clause means subject plus verb. Okay, here there is no subject, no verb. No subject and no verb. That's why we use despite or in spite of, not although. We use although and despite and in spite of to express contrast between two pieces of information in the same sentence. We use although before a clause and despite or in spite of before a noun or a noun phrase. Okay, noun or a noun phrase, but although a clause. Okay, now exercise 1. Complete the sentences. Use although or plus a clause from the box. Okay, an example. Although I watched the film twice, I didn't understand it. And number 1. We enjoyed the film at the Ngọc Khánh cinema, although few people came to see it. And number 2. Although they spent a lot of money on the film, it wasn't a big success. Number 3. Although the acting is excellent, I don't enjoy the film. Number 4. I didn't find it funny at all, although it was a comedy. And number 5. The film is based on a book that was written 20 years ago, although it's set in modern times. Exercise 2. Complete the sentences using although, despite, and in spite of. Sometimes two answers are possible. And number 1, although the story of the film was good, I didn't like the acting. Number 2, I went to see the film despite or in spite of. Both of them are okay and both of them are possible. Feeling really tired. And number 3, I really enjoyed the water war, although most of my friends said it wasn't a very good film. And number 4, despite, or you can use in spite of careful preparation, they had a lot of difficulties in making the film. And number 5, although the film was gripping, Tom slept from beginning to the end. And number 3, exercise 3. Rewrite these sentences using the words in brackets. Change other words in the sentences if necessary. Number 1. I don't think Stallone is a very good actor. He was very good in Rocky films. We should use although. So you know this guy? I don't think Stallone is a very good actor, although he was very good in the Rocky films. Number 2. Many European film directors have gone to Hollywood to make films. Few have had as much success as Milos Forman. We should use although. This one is Milos Forman. Number 2. Although many European film directors have gone to Hollywood to make films, few have had as much success as Milos Forman. And number 3. They watched films on DVD all night. They had to work the next day. We should use despite. They watched films on DVD all night despite having to work the next day. And exercise question 4. He has performed excellently in many films. He has never won the Oscar for the best actor. We should use although. There is a contrast here. Although he has performed excellently in many films, he has never won an Oscar for best actor. And number 5. The film begins with a terrible disaster. It has a happy ending. We should use in spite of. Okay. Number 5. In spite of beginning with a terrible disaster, the film has a happy ending. And now, however and nevertheless. Nevertheless. However and nevertheless. Nevertheless. Example. He is so young. However, he performs excellently. He is so young. Nevertheless, he performs excellently. So they are same. But this one is a bit informal, but this one is very formal. It's informal situation. This one is informal situation. We also use however and nevertheless to express contrast between two sentences. We usually use a comma after them. Nevertheless is more formal than however. As you see, we should use comma after both of them. It's very important, okay? After however and nevertheless, we should use a comma, okay? So this one is comma. Now exercise 4. Complete the sentences using although, despite, in spite of, however, or nevertheless. Sometimes two answers are possible. And question 1. Number 1. The film didn't receive good reviews from critics. However, because there is a comma here, however, many people went to see it. Or we can use nevertheless, nevertheless. And number 2, despite the silly story. So as you see, there is a phrase here. It's a phrase, okay? There is no subject, no verb. So we should use despite. And there is a comma here. Comma, many people enjoyed the film. And number 3, they spent millions of dollars on making the film. So, also we can use in spite because they are same. However, it wasn't as successful as expected. There is a comma here, don't forget, it's very important. Okay, and here we go. Or we can use nevertheless, nevertheless, because they are same. And number 4, although Jaws is one of the Spielberg's first film, it's one of his best. Okay, because it's a sentence or it's a clause. Okay, there is subject here and there is a verb. So we should use although because it is a clause, not phrase. And number 5, as you see, the film was a bit frightening. So it is a clause. So we should use here, we should use although. Although the film was a bit frightening, I really enjoyed it. And exercise 5. Use your own ideas to complete the following sentences. Then compare your sentences with a partner. Number 1. I don't really like the film although it stars many famous film stars. And number 2. They spend a huge amount of money on the film. However, it's not a very interesting film. Number 3. The film was a great success in spite of being produced by an amateur producer. And number 4. The sound in the film is terrible. Nevertheless, it attracts the young audience. Number 5. Although it's a horror film, my friends want to see it. And number 6. Despite his age, he acts well. And consolidation. Number 1. We are studying now. So we are studying now and there is an interesting film on TV. So there is no comma here. That's why we should use although. Number 2. Jordi is a careful driver and there is here comma. So we can use however or nevertheless because there are two sentences here. So it is C because nevertheless. And number 3. Her efforts, she failed the exam. So although and however it is impossible because it is not a clause, it's a phrase. Before phrase we can use despite or in spite of. Okay, it's B. And number 4, as you see there are here two clauses. So two clauses, before clauses we can use although. Okay, although, not despite. And there is no comma here, so we can't use however. We should use although. Although we were having difficulties, we felt optimistic. And number 5, Lorena seems to be quite clever. So there is comma here and two sentences. We should use however. Thank you for watching and listening to me. and could you please subscribe to my channel? Thank you. See you soon. Bye bye.